Hey everybody, happy Thursday. This is Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Boric. This is a look-ahead video to the Thursday night football game. This is definitely not one of the more exciting Thursday night football games statistically going in. I mean, typically we consider Indianapolis and Denver sort of a rival back when both of those teams were good because they had either luck in the game or Peyton Manning against each other, and it was a battle of the wits to win those ball games. But with Jacoby Brissett in and pretty much whoever is starting for the Broncos tonight, looks like Simeon. It's not nearly as much of a rival. Granted, Jacoby Brissett, don't get me wrong, he's a very solid young QB that showed promise in certain games. With Indy this year, that just obviously doesn't have the most help around him, being that Indianapolis's running backs in Michael has had a decent season and then got injured. Turbin didn't do much, but he's injured, and then Wynn is also injured. Three of their backs, which put a lot more on the shoulders of Frank Gore, who's having a pretty solid season, but the guy's still going, still playing up to the par, still playing solid at the age of 34. So, of course, they would like to have a guy that gets more carries, that can split with Frank Gore. Now they have Matt Jones on their team, but they would rather have had a guy that could have done that earlier, that wasn't like a Marlon Mack that they wanted more time to develop, or somebody like that. So the Colts just had a lot of unluckiness this year. They had a lot of injuries they had to deal with. Moncrief has been out some of the games, and then it's just hasn't been a good game or a good year for the Colts health-wise. And then Denver got Paxton Lynch back, who looked half solid in his game that he came back. Then all of a sudden it was like, and he got injured again, and now he was out again. Denver lost a couple guys due to injuries too. These are two teams that coming into the season people thought would be in competition for a wild card at the very least. And these are two teams that would be considered the letdown teams of the year, whereas other teams would be considered the surprise rise teams of the year. These would be considered the fall teams of the year. And, of course, it's unfortunate because some of it, in a large part, is due to injuries. But if we're looking at this game going in, the Colts have won 6 of their last 8 regular season games against the Denver Broncos. And even though the game's in Indianapolis, though, the Broncos are still 2.5-point favorites over the Indianapolis Colts. Which, let's see why that could be the case. The Broncos only score on offense 17.6 points per game, get 312 yards, get 206 passing yards, and get 105 rushing yards. So their offense has been non-existent this year for almost the entire season. They had a couple games that looked like they were getting somewhere, and then it went back down again. Again, Denver obviously is expected to pick a quarterback or trade for a quarterback or sign a quarterback that someone else releases, because there's going to be a good amount of quarterbacks available, including the guy they're going to be facing tonight most likely, because when Andrew Luck comes back, Jacoby Brissett has proven that he can be a starting quarterback in this league. Once he gets a little bit more time to develop, he will probably be a very solid starting quarterback. And then, of course, the Vikings have Bridgewater, Keenum, and Bradford. Of course, you would want Bridgewater or Keenum over Bradford due to health concerns, but you could also go there. There's a lot of quarterbacks, not a lot, but there's a good amount of quarterbacks that are going to be expendable in this offseason along with the draft, and I am sure as hell Denver will definitely get one of those guys because even if they want to give Paxton Lynch another try, they're going to want a guy behind him that they have a lot of faith in to put in right away if he cannot get it done, because we have seen Brock Osweiler was not able to regain his magic he had in Denver that one year. He wasn't able to come back and regain it, and then Trevor Siemian is just a backup quarterback in the league, and that's simply the way to put it. Now, if we go to compare Denver's offense to the Colts offense, who's not good either, the Colts offense only gets 16.3 per game, so that's even worse than Denver's 17.4, 290 yards, and then 186 passing and 104 rushing. So both of these teams' offenses are in the bottom tier of the league, so by that logic, it will likely not be a very high-scoring game, and this would be what takes the appeal to be a defensive game, but then it might just not be a defensive game. It might just be a game where the offenses couldn't get going because both offenses have struggled mightily this year. If we look at Denver's defense, though, which has been in drastic decline, actually since they played the Eagles and since there's been more injuries on the back end to Denver, guys been in and out of the lineup, and once your offense is not on the field long enough, eventually your defense is going to start caving due to being on the field for too much action and not getting enough rest, which is one of the biggest cases for Denver. They allow 24.2 points, 280 yards total, 191.1 passing yards, and 89.5 rushing yards. So all of their yardage statistics are in the top 5, but their point total is in the bottom tier at 24th. So they allow some big plays, and they allow, if you can get in the red zone, they allow you to score. So their defense statistics in terms of yards, passing yards, and rushing yards is very good in the top 5, but then if you get a chance for a big play or in the red zone, there's a good chance you can score on Denver's defense, which is not common like it is this year, to be able to get points on them, where typically when you have all those stats together, it doesn't equate to points getting put on the board. But for Denver, it does, because they give up that one play that leads to a touchdown, which has been consistent this year. But they are playing, like I said, the Colts, who obviously don't have the best offense of their own. So if there was a game for Denver to go back to looking like the Denver Broncos-esque defense, it would definitely be this game to not give up the amount of points that they have been giving up of late. Now, comparing it to Colts defense, the Colts defense in most assets rank in the bottom tier of the league. They allow 26.4 points. They allow 375 yards, 257.8 passing, and 117.5 rushing. The highest rated statistic is the rushing yards allowed, which is still at 23rd. So the Colts defense has not been good by any stretch of the imagination this year for pretty much any part of the season. Again, some of it has to do with guys being out, but even how Denver's looked good to start the season, didn't allow a lot of points, but then because they were on the field for so much, once you're on the field for so much, you're going to give up that one big play due to the fact that you're losing energy earlier in the game or those few big plays. The Colts defense just hasn't looked good most of the time. So if there was a game for Trevor Siemian to step up and be able to get some plays through the air, it would definitely be this game, because the Colts defense is not a pass defense. They're not even much of a run defense this year either, but they're at least better at stopping the run. So if there was a game for Siemian to get some stuff done through the air, it would definitely be this game. Again, this is not the most exciting Thursday night football game, but I always do a look ahead, so I wanted to do a look ahead. If I had to pick the winner of this game, because of what I just said about how the Colts defense struggles, but they have won 6 of the last 8 against Denver in the regular season, but they do struggle against the pass, and then they're not too great against the run. If Denver can get their blocking done and figure out some of the issues they had there in recent weeks, they should be able to win this ball game. But on the flip side, it is at Indy, and if Indy can have the rallying of their fan base a little bit, then it can go in Indy's favor. This is going to be a very interesting game. It should be a close game because it's not two high-powered offenses, and then it's against one defense that doesn't allow you to get that many yards in Denver's, but does allow you to score, and then against the Colts defense that allows you to get a good amount of yards plus score. So this game has the makings to be one way or the other. It's either the offenses aren't going to get anywhere and the defenses are going to look great because it's two minuscule offenses, or all of a sudden both of these offenses or one of them are going to look very good because of the not-so-great defenses in terms of scoring of both squads. So it's going to be very interesting to see what shape and what form this game takes. If I had to take a team, I will honestly, even though the Denver Broncos are favored by 2.5, I will take the Colts at home because Denver hasn't shown me enough on the road, and I think Indy will be able to rally around the home crowd and be able to get a win against the Denver Broncos. Well, this has been Sports Fanatic News. This has been a look ahead to Thursday Night Football. Have a good day, everyone. Peace.